1 week until the New York Marathon. It's been a crazy journey. There's been so many highs and lows, so many things that I didn't expect, both within and outside of training and running. When I said yes to doing this marathon, I just thought this is going to be a really cool story someday. And I think that's kind of how I decide a lot of things in my life. When I'm older and I look back at all these things, I want to just be really proud and also have really cool stories to tell. So overall, I'm feeling a mix of nervous, excited, but I think it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. And I wanted to share 3 things that I've learned so far on this journey. So number 1, and we'll just start with the physical. Although I was used to a high amount of training volume with CrossFit, starting anything new, any type of new training program, it's going to take a while to adapt. And running is a high impact sport, especially how I run. So I do have to be careful about overloading my joints, how my feet, my knees, my ankles, how those all adapt to the running. Managing volume was really important. I also noticed how much recovery and extra food I needed. So making sure I was fueling really well before and after, really just eating as much as I could, especially balancing running with my normal sport training, with lifting. For me personally, I was just trying to kind of maintain my strength, work on some of my CrossFit skills, not completely neglect that while I was adding in all the running volume. Overall, I would say my amount of time actually spent training probably decreased because I did want to focus on recovering from those running sessions and making those adaptations, which requires rest. What I really noticed, and I never really had thought about it before, and I think this is why a lot of runners and triathletes have a hard time when they come into the sport of CrossFit or different just general life stuff. They have a lot of aches and pains, is because the mobility demands of running is very, very small. You're spending a lot of time doing maybe 170, 180 steps per minute of a very, very, very small range of motion. And so you get really, really tight. I found my ankles were getting really tight, my hips, my lower back in some ways, my knees. And so I really had to add in extra stretching as well as just extra mobility work, making sure I'm working through all those ranges of motions, especially really cooling down after my runs and then really warming up before my weightlifting sessions. So yeah, that was the biggest thing physically is, how to prioritize recovery more, how to be really smart about where I'm putting those training pieces and how much I'm doing, how much volume I'm managing, and eating a lot and doing my mobility work. Now let's talk about number 2, which is the mental side. So mentally, this journey has not been easy. I think right after I decided that I would do this marathon, I found out that my grandpa was passing away. So going through that process. And one thing that I noticed was doing those long running sessions, especially the long, slow sessions, it was kind of therapeutic in a sense, like just being able to get into almost a meditative state, work through and process different emotions while I'm in there. I think sometimes in CrossFit, it's just so high intensity that it's kind of like numbing in a sense, but somewhat in some of these long distance sports, these endurance sports, you have a long time where it's just you and the trail or you and the road. So there's a lot of time to think. So in some ways it was a positive, it was a really good outlet for me. In other ways, it was really challenging. When I was going out, especially when I did the 33-kilometer run, which was the longest run that I did, I guess that's just a little bit over 20 miles, it was boring. I had friends who told me that they saw me, they went somewhere, they drove back, they saw me still running again. I was out there for over 3 hours. And there's only so many podcasts you can listen to. And even though the scenery was nice with the fall leaves and everything, it was not that exciting. Now, I'm someone who has diagnosed ADHD. I think that's probably why I lent myself to more action sports, more sprint recover stuff, CrossFit, where you're doing so many different things every single day, a little bit more stimulation on my brain than a long endurance sport. So I think it's been an interesting challenge on that front. Okay, now number 3, and this is a big one, it's the power of community. Having friends who would run with me when I was traveling in Europe, convincing people to come out for morning runs, people who would just reach out for tips and tricks and who are excited about this journey, you who are watching this, all those things really motivated me, really held me accountable, and just really pushed me. Whenever I was I just don't really feel like running, I thought of all the people who are watching and who have been watching this journey, and I was I want to, stay true to this commitment that I made, that I'm going to put my all into doing this training and showing up to the marathon. Proud of what I did in the last 12 weeks. My left arm's getting a little tired of holding the camera. Okay, so there were a lot of days where I just did not want to go out and run. There was I feel like the first few weeks there was a lot of motivation, and then it kind of fell off, and that was starting with any habit, right? You get super excited about it, you're doing well, and then you're I gotta push through this rough middle point, and that's where I had people around me who were like, let's go for a run. I would look back at the videos, I would get comments, people asking, how's the running going? How's the training going? That really helped me. So yeah, on the physical side, all the recovery stuff and managing the training volume. On the mental side, it was just that boredom, just embracing the different challenges that an endurance sport brings. And for number 3, it was just that power of community, family, friends, all of you. I just want to say thank you, because you probably don't even realize how big a role that you played in getting me to that start line and hopefully to that finish line. I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. I guess I haven't really talked about this, but I don't really actually have a certain pace goal. My goal like a year ago, you could barely get me to go run 5K. I just really didn't like running. Running was always a punishment in my other sports. And then with snowboarding, it's kind of high impact to add running to that. So I just never really got into it. So I'm really proud that like a year later, here I am doing a marathon, something I never thought I would do. Definitely going to document, the trip and the time there. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the finish line.